Today's class is going to be about assists, and you may or may not have received information in your 200-hour regarding assists, whether you did it online and you weren't able to do that, or it was just like maybe a little conversation with not so much practice. So what I want you to get from this talk today is really the major things we need to be paying attention to before making an assist, while making an assist, and after. So important things to consider. One of those things, and I would say is probably the most important part of assisting, is observation. So we cannot go and make an assist on someone if we can't observe and analyze what it is they need support with. So before kind of rushing over to someone trying to make an enhancement or a touch, we need to do this quickly, right? Because as we know, there's a flow to teaching yoga. And we don't have that much time to spend observing, analyzing. So that's why it's important to really know the posture from the inside out, not only theoretically, but also as you embody it each time. Because then you'll have that quicker turnaround time between observation and touch. But number one, most important thing is observation. So we observe, and I say, oh, her right hip is leaning forward, her right shoulder is leaning forward. If I were going to align that, I would need to roll those two areas back in order for the spine to be straight. Okay, now I'm going to go do that. Right? So even before I go enter into their space, I already know what I'm going to do, and I even know how I'm going to do it. Okay, so we're creating that quick responding time from observation practice. Another thing to pay attention to is purity of mind and in body. So we see this concept show up in the 8 limbs of yoga when referring to saucha, which is purity or cleanliness. So it's asking you to reflect on how you want to show up to a class, especially if you plan on assisting people. So that might mean take a shower. That might mean cleanse your aura. That may mean to remind yourself why you're doing it in the first place, right? Not because, oh, this person is good looking, I'd like to go touch their body, right? So there's a purity of mind to like support and assist, and that's really the only thing that's happening. So bringing that professional attitude and behavior into the classroom as well. And so this purity is referring to just a clear and clean intention, right? From your mind and also physically throughout your body. Because we're transferring energy, right? So if I didn't wash my feet and I used my foot for an assist, that would be gross. Right? And if I didn't wash my feet, would I use my foot in an assist? No. Because it's not clear and clean. The next thing we have to figure out is what type of assist is this person going to most benefit from in this particular moment of time? Do you need a firm, direct, hands-on assist? Do you want a specific light touch to bring your awareness to a certain part of the body? Is it going to be an energetic assist where we may not be touching them at all? Am I going to assist through my verbal cueing so that everyone can do it together? Am I going to use props as a part of the assist? Am I touching unnecessarily? Right? Am I walking by someone and just like hitting their sacrum by accident? So like, where's my awareness around the room? Because everyone has their physical space, but more than that, there's an energetic space as well. And so we need to be really aware as we're moving and weaving between the students that are in our class. So thinking about what type of assist and what is the assist that's going to balance that person. So even going back to Ayurveda, it's like the pittas, the fire, they're going to want a firm, direct hands-on assist. They want to push to the very, very edge. Is that going to be most beneficial for their system? Probably not. What's going to be beneficial for their system is a supportive, nurturing touch. Right? Whereas vatas, maybe their eyes are everywhere, they're looking around, they're chipping the nail polish off their fingers, they're bored, they're like, when's this pose going to end and the other one going to begin? I'm like ready to move on. Let's get going here. So they might need some like hands-on, direct, firm, to the point. And then we have, personality types as well. Type A people, type B people. And you can tell in the first 10 minutes of class what type of people you have in front of them by the way that they do their vinyasas, by the way they meet each of their postures. So I would really recommend taking the time to, in the first 10 minutes of class, is to not adjust. That's really your observation time too. Who are these people that are in front of me, and how can I best support them and their practice? Okay. Another thing to note is pressure. When we do touch someone, how are we touching them? And we want to do that very gradually. So maybe the first touch is light, second breath is a little bit deeper, third breath a little bit deeper, exploring their edges. So we really do want to stay with people for 3 breaths or longer even. And that's really helpful to just not be like penetrating their space and leaving right away. So it's better to adjust less people than to try and get around and adjust everyone in every pose. Yeah. And when the pressure needs to also be connected with the breath, right? So there's certain poses where you'll go deeper on the exhalation and certain poses where you'll go deeper on the inhalation. So the folding and the twisting, that's all going to be on the exhale breath, while anything that your chest is opening and that's being created on the inhale breath, that's where the adjustment would come from as well. So not only do we need to pay attention to gradual pressure, like increasing over time, but also how we gradually enter and exit somebody's space. So we see everybody's physical bodies out there, but we also have our energetic bodies. And you can feel when a teacher is getting close to you and you want an adjustment, right? You might like fix yourself, or you might drop down into child's pose. These are all signs of how people feel when you get close to them. So that can tell you things as well. And when you do enter, you really want to enter with care. You don't want to run over to someone and assist them. You need to like step lightly into their space, which exists even wider than the rectangle of the yoga mat. Generally, when looking at somebody else's alignment, we can sometimes forget about our own alignment. And so a general rule that I like to share is knees bent, arms straight, and back lengthened. And when you're assisting someone, you want to know what plane of movement are they in so that you can best support by standing in a position that really helps to bring them into that plane of movement even more so. So your body placement to the student becomes really important. So downward dog, for example, I wouldn't stand to the side and adjust someone's hip because that would carry their weight over to this side, right? If I'm standing here and I'm pressing, that's going to press over here. But if I was standing right over them and I could just press and lengthen through their lower back, then they're going to get a much better adjustment with even distribution of my weight rather than from the side. So paying attention to your position And then the next thing is stabilization. Stabilization is an important factor to make any other part of the body mobile. So when you think that you want to go touch someone, you're going to ground one area of the body and you're going to mobilize another part of the body. And when we go over some examples, I'll give you a little bit more detail as to what that means. The sacrum is a really common place to have like pressure and grounding. And it helps the spine to be able to mobilize by pressing down on the sacrum. So I could press down and lengthen. I could press down on the sacrum and twist. I could press down on the sacrum and take a back bend, or side to side. It's always pretty much a good option is to stabilize at the sacrum. But we're looking for a grounding force and a mobilizing force. Okay. Confidence is another aspect to assisting when we talk about transferring of energy. When you're nervous or anxious or unsure, that can very quickly and easily be felt by the student. Not only when you're teaching yoga, but also when you're touching. So remembering that we're transferring that energy. So if you don't know something or you're unsure of something, err on the conservative side and don't do it. Don't try it out. Maybe if there's a different, you're with a friend or something like that, and you're like, hey, I really wanted to do this assist in class, but I'm not quite sure. Can I practice on you and you tell me how it feels? Because in class, you're not really going to be able to get that feedback. Sometimes feedback will look like someone pressing back into you, right? If someone tries to resist your touch, that either means they don't want it or it's too much. So it's a sign to back off, go lighter, or maybe even just remove yourself. Okay. So building confidence, and that's why, we're going to go over one pose per spinal movement and of common poses that you see in most yoga asana classes. And if you can get those poses down and assist those in every class, then people will love it because every human wants touch. Whether they know it or not. Sometimes there's, trauma and other things associated with that where they don't. But at the end of the day, people want to have that touch and that experience, especially some people expect it when they go to a yoga class. And I know there's a lot of fear now in assisting because of different various reasons, but they ask you to really shy away from it. But it's not about avoiding it, it's about how to. So learning these things are really going to help you kind of build confidence. And by going over less is more and really kind of dropping into that experience with your students as long as they allow you to do so. Something else is balance. So this is often debatable. If we assist on one side, let's say right side pigeon, do we assist left side pigeon as well? And the answer is yes, especially if you're doing a firm hands-on touch. Because not only psychologically now are they waiting for you to come back to the other side, but if you don't come back to the other side, then they might have feelings of disappointment, right? And you're not trying to create that mental chatter through your actions. And also, if you're exploring the edge of someone's body and taking them to a point they can't get to on their own, then do that on the other side as well. And so that means remembering who you're assisting in each pose. The other thing is equality in a classroom. I think a lot of people tend to shy away from assisting advanced practitioners because from their perspective, they're like, that pose is perfect. They don't need help. I'm going to go to this person who's it's their first time in class and assist them over and over and over again, making sure they have the right alignment. But what that can do is be like, oh, the teacher fixed every pose in that class, was basically calling me out. And so I can't do yoga and I'm not good at it, so I'm never going to come back. That could be something that happens. Something else that could happen is, while I'm going over to you for the 5th time, I'm creating mental chatter in her mind saying, why is this person getting 3 assists before I get 1? Right? Does the teacher like her better? And then again, mental chatter, mental chatter. So I recommend having a system. Maybe you start at the front and go to the back. The knowing that everybody could use an assist all the time. It just depends, what assist am I going to do? Does this person need to be pulled back? Are they going too deep? Do they need to be pushed further towards their edge? Do they need to be nurtured right now? So spreading your attention evenly is important. Finally, ask permission. As you build as a yoga teacher, you might start to hear people who aren't talking to you, like, touch me, or someone who like makes sure they're getting into their perfect pose. And other people are going to drop down to child's pose and kind of shy away from your touch. And these are signs, nonverbal signs around who wants touch and who doesn't want touch. It is an advanced skill to develop, and deep listening needs to occur. And there are many things going on in the classroom. So if you don't want to do that, then you can simply say, if anybody doesn't want an assist, raise your hand. Now, we don't want to do this while people are looking around, right? So now my eyes are open. I see she doesn't want an assist. Oh, I wonder, if that's trauma related or if she's pregnant. Now my mind's starting to turn, right? And that could be, maybe people don't want you to know that they don't want to be assisted. And so put them in child's pose, put them on their back, find a creative way to ask permission, and just making sure you're taking note of that. Now, in most cases, you'll see that everybody wants touch. But there are definitely a few cases, and you don't want to assume that people coming to your class over and over again always want to be touched. There could be a day where I need to be in my own space. Right? So we can't really make those assumptions. So better to just ask before we find that internal knowing. And assisting, it can really happen on so many levels. If we're looking at the context of lower, middle, and upper world even, we can start to think that assists are so much more than the physical. So in the lower world, it's all about like, okay, the hands-on assist, what type of assist, how am I meeting this person physically? But we can also assist, if in the middle world, we have mental emotional realm. And so we can use theme weaving as a way to focus people's energy. And that is a beautiful assist to keep their mind from being very active, million things coming in and out that they have to, work out on their own. But if we keep bringing it back to why we're here, then it really helps. It really helps that mental focus. And lastly, in the upper world, we might look at assist from an energetic perspective. So if I'm in a twist, maybe that's just bringing my hand here and spiraling up, and then all of a sudden I see the body lengthen. Right? Or maybe it's in Warrior 2. I just come and energetically brush the shoulders wide or spread the fingers. So there are many things that we could do without even touching the body. So just generally broadening your awareness around assists and what that looks like and how we can incorporate it, anytime the usage of props, the wall, this is support, this is help. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's not because your body is incapable. So when the teacher can really help share that information to make people feel okay to use that type of support, whether it's touch, a block, or a theme, then that would be really helpful to them, right? Because we want to change the way that they see it, right? And just like in all of our ways, I mean, we're constantly trying to open up and change the natural groove that our mind goes through, and open up to new ways of doing things, and new ways of being, and new ways of practicing, right? So it's like if you haven't ever practiced with a block, go get a block, right? Like see how that feels in your body. So quickly to review: observation, purity in mind and body, figuring out what type of assist somebody needs, pressure, the way we enter and exit space, breath, do we need to deepen pressure on an inhale or an exhale, our position, making sure that that's safe and aligned over their body, stabilization, so having a grounding force action before starting to mobilize, confidence, so transferring of energy and being aware of what you're putting out and how people are receiving that, balance, so if you adjust one side, you adjust the other side, equality in the classroom, making sure you touch everybody at least once, right? And asking permission.